Okay. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about what if Bran was warging the Night King. Full disclosure, I loved the episode, loved the twist, loved how everything went. But if you're like me, you're wondering like, why did we kill off the main threat halfway through the season, only to leave Cersei to be the main villain? Apparently, it would have seemed that the Lannisters were the real threat the whole time, which to me feels a little Scooby-Doo-ish. They've pulled off the mask, and I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those pesky kids. You know, like, So while I enjoyed the episode, I think that a season should have been flipped, so that they dealt with Cersei, then they had to deal with the dead. But I trust Game of Thrones, I trust HBO, and so I'll revisit this idea afterwards. But what if? Because so it got me wondering. In the episode, Bran's like, "I'm gonna go now." He takes off with some birds. He goes and he taunts the Night King. But what did he do after that? It really didn't show us. And he warged something up until just seconds before. Theon dies. And so we get this moment where, he tells Theon he's a good man. And then the Night King walks up to him. And he looks at him. And they seem to, in my mind, have a telepathic connection with one another. Like, they didn't speak anything aloud, but it was almost as though he said something. Because if you look at how they look at one another, and then the Night King just kind of, he does this. And to me, it makes me feel like, what if you were being controlled all this time, and Bran knew that if he could get the Night King there and tee up Arya, that everybody would feel like, oh, the threat is gone. But meanwhile, the Three-Eyed Raven would be getting exactly what he wanted, because we don't really know what the Three-Eyed Raven's motives are, other than to just observe things. And I feel like that maybe he's not necessarily the best guy. So what if we don't know what his motives are? So what if the whole point of this was a huge facade to bring down the army of the dead, that he was controlling himself so that he could get away from his own biggest threat? Anyways, moving forward. So we may be done with the Night King. However, we'd be kidding ourselves to think that we were done with the dead. I mean, let's not forget that Qyburn raised the mountain. The mountain's pretty much a walking zombie. He's pretty much exactly like a white that's somewhat sentient. Then we have this moment where Qyburn transfixes on the white that they brought to King's Landing. So you have to be kidding yourself if you don't believe that for 1 second that he hasn't spent every moment since then trying to figure out how he could do this himself, how he could raise an army of the dead himself, because that would be, in his mind, the best way to probably bolster their own forces. Because every time somebody dies, you're just adding to your own army. You could even have friendly fire and not even matter, because if you lob catapults onto your own army, well, they're just going to rejoin you again in a second anyway. And this time that they're going to be even more better soldiers, because they will not question anything. They're the dead. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen next? Do you think that we're done with the dead? Or do you think that maybe, say in the instance that Qyburn does raise an army of the dead, do you think that maybe Bran might not, with the knowledge of how to create a Night King, suggest that they create a Night King of their own to counter and take control of the dead? Till next time, have a good day. Stay awesome.